Hey, Coach. Super excited you found us on YouTube in my messy basement. But let me tell you a couple things. First of all, go over and check out teachers.com for coaches who want to get better. That's the first thing. Second thing is make sure you subscribe. Go hit that little bell so every time you come on YouTube, you'll be able to find all of our stuff and subscribe. That is really important.
All right, welcome to Coach Unplugged, episode. Like 1300, I think I'm at right now, Coach. Luckily, we're doing this in we're relatively early morning in Wisconsin, so my wife's asleep. So these are really good times for me because I don't have to go out and mow the lawn or, go furniture shopping, which is what I was doing yesterday afternoon. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
I know. No, you know what I was doing? I was doing TikToks. I was sitting in a chair doing TikToks. So
Really?
yeah. Yes, I'm trying to make my son and his girlfriend laugh. So I was making TikToks.
Okay.
Whatever. Bored. All right. So Coach Robinson, I want you to kind of go through your basketball journey and explain it to the listeners. Kind of explain how you got into this game, where you played, kind of your coaching career, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sounds good. Well, first of all, Coach Collins, thank you for having me. It's just an honor to be here and just to have an opportunity to share. But yeah, so I'm David Robinson, and honestly, I was a latecomer to the game of basketball. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up playing baseball. That was my first love. And didn't get introduced to basketball till probably around my high school years, very informally initially.
Wow, that is late.
Yes. So my uncle played basketball, and he introduced me to the game. But I was all about baseball, a little bit of track, a little bit of football early on. But really, my introduction to basketball came my junior year of high school. I transferred to a very small Christian school. And there was no more football. There was no more, just some of the sports that I was used to. And so I decided, I wanted to be involved in athletics and sports. And so I started playing basketball and just fell in love with the game as a junior in high school. And, I remember going to the library and getting books and looking at old videos and just trying to learn and soak in as much of the game as possible. And so that was my introduction to playing. When I graduated from high school, bounced around a little bit for college and things of that nature. I ended up finishing up at a small D3 school in Northeast Pennsylvania. It's called Clark Summit University now, but at the time it's called Baptist Bible College. I played about a year and a half, ran out of eligibility, and then coached as an assistant for a year for a guy named Coach Mike Shao. He's no longer the coach there, but just huge mentor in my life. And so that was just a wonderful experience for me. But I always knew when I was done with high school that I was going to be involved in coaching in some way, shape, or form. One, because I wanted to stay connected to sports, but really, I had the story. Every sport I played growing up, I always had a good coach.
Right.
Coaches that understood what they were doing, knew the sport, but also cared about kids. And the older I get, the more I realized when talking to people, that's not always common. And so I count myself very, very lucky to have had those experiences coming up. So early in my career, it's the Moral Christian School that I graduated from. They don't even exist anymore, but they gave me the opportunity to coach. And so they took a shot on me, and again, it was it was a rebuild. I mean, it was just a build, to be quite honest, but it was a rebuild. I spent 3 years there, and we went from like maybe five wins in our first year to 16 wins in my last year. And then after that, I went out to a school called Lakewood Park Christian in Auburn, Indiana, right outside of Fort Wayne. Coached about a year and a half with a friend there on the guys' side, and then took over the girls' varsity job there. And spent 7 years there doing that. And just a similar situation. Had the privilege of coaching the program to the first winning season. We set the school record for wins on the girls' side a couple times, and just had a great experience. Left there, went to
Hold on,
Cuyahoga.
coach. So I see a progression from you're moving slowly west.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm just sitting here listening. It's like, okay, you started in Maryland and then Pennsylvania. Now you're Indiana's Midwest. And now you're in the
Yes,
Midwest.
yes,
You're
yes.
slow. You're you're moving. You're like the pioneers. You're going west. Like,
And there
okay.
you go.
Was there a
Yeah,
reason?
yeah.
Was there a reason of the movement, or was it just what the openings were?
The opening. So I got out to Indiana because a good friend of mine, a guy by the name of Don Davis, we both played for the same college coach, and all of us that played for him, no matter the era that you played, it's as close to, I didn't have the fraternity experience that you get at like major universities and stuff, but it would
Right.
be, I would liken it to as close as a fraternity as it could possibly be without being one, I guess.
Okay.
And so, I did a camp for him, and he just said, "Hey, I'd love to get you out here, coach." And I'm single at the time. I don't know what I'm doing after college and stuff like that. So I just packed up and moved. It was one of those things. So
Like that's what I teach seniors in high school, and I say that's what your 20s are for, man. Just
yeah,
live on your friend's couch. Who cares? Like
yeah.
you don't have
So
any responsibilities. Figure out what you want to do. Like that's what your
exactly,
20s are for. Like
exactly.
you'll scrape by. You'll figure it out. Like
Mhm.
it's not don't worry about it. Like
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, keep going, coach.
Yeah. So kind of on the professional side of things, was starting to hit the glass ceiling at Lakewood Park. Coaching was still going great relationships, love the families and that kind of thing, but just hitting the glass ceiling and just kind of getting a stirring of, there's more to me than kind of what I'm doing right now. And so I ended up leaving there and going to a school in the Akron, Cleveland area of Ohio called Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy. And again, another Coach Shao guy was the athletic director there. He took notice of some of the things that I was doing, and they had an unfortunate situation with their girls program. Just numbers were low, and maybe morale was down a little bit in some ways. And so he reached out to gauge my interest. So I went there. Sidebar, my last few years at Indiana, I also got involved coaching football at one of the local public schools in Fort Wayne.
Okay.
But anyway, so move over to Ohio, coaching girls varsity basketball there, coaching football there as well.
Yeah, football in Ohio is pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, same thing. Low numbers, barely, varsity team, no JV or barely having a JV. And so my first year, we're fortunate to also have a good number of freshmen, but just really started to build the program up. We only had maybe 2 or 3 wins my first year. By the time we got to my 4th year, we'd won a sectional and got to the area championship game and ended up losing to a team that I think went on to win the state championship or something like that. But the program experienced tremendous growth. Went from just barely having a varsity pro team to varsity JV and freshman team. And I think for girls at that size school, that speaks a lot about just kind of the culture we were able to create. And then, so then from there, get the opportunity to move to Texas, where I'm at now. So there you go. So I went from Midwest to
a little bit. You
South.
went back east a little bit from Indiana to Ohio. Is a little bit east, but then you went back west. Like, okay, so Texas is its own country for people that don't know.
Yes,
literally, it like if you've ever driven east to west in Texas, it's like driving north to south in California. It lasts
right.
Like it's its own country. Like, but anyway, keep going.
Yeah, no. So I got the opportunity to come down to Texas, and was compelled by just some of the work that I was going to be doing at the school, but then also the coaching opportunity to get back on the guys' side. I felt like it was time. When I was in Baltimore, my first job, I was on the guys' side, and then kind of sandwiched in the middle. I was coaching young ladies and loved it. There was no issues there, but I just felt like it's time to get back on the guys' side.
So one thing with the girls thing, why do you think, before we jump into the Texas, why do you think the girls' numbers are down? Because I think it's a national problem with girls' basketball numbers going down. Why do you think that is?
Well, some of it I think is just, and I think you're seeing a lot of push in this, just young ladies not getting opportunities to play sports as early on as guys. But also, I hate to say it this way, but I do feel like sometimes we as coaches, we ruin it for them. You know, my
I
experience,
think there's a couple things. First of all, I don't think there's enough ladies coaching ladies, which
yeah.
is a generational thing, and hopefully that will shift. It's getting
Mhm.
better, but it's a shift. And I think volleyball kills basketball. I think girls volleyball is it's six girls. You got a libero that always plays. You've got like it's more of a social thing. At least I see that in our state. It volleyball plays at the exact time as basketball. I
Uh,
think girl like as far as club goes, like
mhm.
club basketball is in the spring. It doesn't conflict um it doesn't conflict at all with basketball. It's high school season, but volleyball, both boys and girls, conflict is a winter. It's a winter
Yeah.
thing. Um, but
Well,
I don't know.
no. Well, now that you say that, there are a couple things that I have noticed. So, um, uh, volleyball hasn't hurt me in my stops, and both schools I've been at had strong volleyball programs. But I will say this, initially, if you see, the volleyball numbers versus girls soccer and basketball in Indiana, at least, where it was, volleyball had more numbers. And I think some of that, I think you're making some good points. And I think the other thing I would add to that is soccer and basketball versus volleyball and softball. Soccer and basketball are the only two sports there where you've got a clock, the pressure of the clock that's continually winding down. You're in close proximity with the opponent, and the mistake response time, like the transitions are quicker. If I play volleyball and I hit it into the net, we got to roll the ball under the net. The girl that's going to serve has to wait till they point at her. So I have all that time. Or if I strike out in softball, I got 3 innings before I'm back up there. Or if I drop it.
I think honestly, you just made the best argument ever because I was just talking to a coach a couple days ago, and it's like when I coached my son in baseball or in football, I was amazed by the amount of time I had to process
Mm,
between pitches, between
yeah.
football plays. In basketball, the ball is going to be down, back, down, back, down,
Yep.
back before I have 3 seconds to think. What are you talking? It's
Right.
like I say coaching softball or coaching volleyball is like going to the symphony and coaching basketball is like going to a rock concert. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just ding 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 ding. And the symphony you have time, it's smooth, it's nice and slow. It's like yeah, I agree. And I think
Yeah.
yeah, and there might be a twist with that, I think, as far as their
Right.
mentality goes. I
And
agree.
then the other thing I would say is too, I feel like, in my experience, and I'll just speak about my personal experience, um, the guys that I've coached have, tend to be more motivated by the competitiveness and the competition. Whereas the young ladies I've coached, they tend to be more motivated by the community in the group. And I think a lot of times coaches try to approach young ladies and make it about, oh, they're disrespecting us. We need to, and you might have one or two of those girls that are like, yeah, let's go. But a lot of the young ladies are involved in athletics for a lot of different reasons. And so you have to find a way to tap into what that is for the group and then once you do that, and once you build those relationships, I think all those other things come. I think they'll work hard, the competitiveness, I never had any of those issues, but I think you got to build that relationship and that community first. And so I think sometimes coaches want to skip that step that are coaching girls. And I think, or girls are coming in to sports new and those things aren't being laid as the foundation. I think so. Then they just move on to something else.
I, and I've always said there's like, and this has changed since I grew up, but there's street cred for a third grade boy on the playground when he's an athlete. I'm not sure the street cred is there for the girl. I'm just saying I mean,
Yeah.
there's positive. It's like ego food. Like if you're a third
Uh-huh.
grade boy and you're an athlete, there's cred when you're little.
Yeah.
But the girls, there's not as much, and I think that's changing. I think that's shifted over the last 20 years,
Mhm.
and I think it will keep shifting. But I'm just saying, it's like if you were an athlete and you were a guy when I was growing up and you in element, you had street cred right away. Like that was like you had some power on the playground. Like I'm not sure
Yeah.
it's the same. But it's okay. So Texas was your longest stay, it looked like.
Well, actually, Indiana, I guess technically was, because I was at the school for 9 years and 7 years coaching on the girls' side. But yeah, so got here to Texas again. Um, Similar situation. The program had some success in the past, and then kind of the longtime coach that really started the program, he retired, and then they went through a period of just a lot of coaching turnover. Every coach lasting maybe 1 to maybe 3 years.
And that kills a program. That kills a program.
Yeah. And then football is big in Texas, and especially in East Texas.
Oh, I'm making a funny face for those of you
Right.
that were listening. It's like, are you like Texas? It's like Indiana basketball is like Texas football.
Yes. Yeah. I remember during my interview, someone was looking at my resume and they said, "Hey, we see, you coached in Indiana and you coached in a lot of places where basketball, they love basketball." And he's like, "Well, Texas is big here." And I was like, football is big here in Texas. I was like, "Yes, I'm aware of that. I think a school our size could be good at both, So, but they just wanted to make sure I knew what time it was, I guess, coming in. But no, it was great. But so again, same thing. First year, we were just a bad basketball program, and we just had to find an identity, lay the foundation. Football was good here, track was really good here, and stuff like that. And baseball was solid. And so basketball just, it was tough. And the way Texas crunches basketball season, football's still going on. And then baseball starts, they get out there in late January.
Well, it's
so
Texas.
It's just like,
you can play. It's like I think
right.
the snow just melted in Wisconsin for the baseball team. Just
Yeah.
middle of June.
So,
It's like crazy. Yeah.
So again, went from 1 win my first year, but had some young guys that were committed and were buying into what we were trying to be and who we were trying to be as a program. In year 4, we won 14 games, made the playoffs, won a playoff game, which was the first playoff win in probably like 7 or 8 years for the program.
So so it's weird because I have a coach in California. You have to make the playoffs. Like you have to.
Yes.
Not everyone makes the playoffs.
Yeah. So in Texas and Ohio, I want to say you had to qualify for the playoffs. But then in Indiana, and I love this in Indiana, it's everyone's in. It's a random draw, and you play it out, which I thought was always fun.
Right. Everybody in Wisconsin makes it. Like everybody. Yeah. Like I think that's first of all, from a high school coaching standpoint, it's a second life. Like it's you know what I mean? It's like, I would love if the NCAA could figure a way to do that. Like, let everyone in, let's go,
that'd be interesting. Yeah.
I mean, they could do it. It would be like, like Duke would not play for the first week and a half. I mean, I'm just saying the top 64 teams would get buys.
Yeah.
But, I'm just surprised they haven't done it from a money standpoint. Like let everybody in, but and then reseed it once it gets down to 64 or whatever it is. But
right,
I'm sure it's some sort of logistical problem.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, keep going, Coach.
Yeah. So I mean, so that kind of brings it to. So everywhere I've been, I've been fortunate enough to be able, again, so same thing here in Texas, we went from varsity, barely JV to, varsity, JV, and freshman teams. And so, again, for, a school our size, that says a lot, and more kids are having opportunities to play basketball, develop. There's a buzz around basketball. And so I just finished up my 5th year, which is my last year here in Texas as I'm transitioning out. And so I kind of put that a little bit in your notes.
So what's happening with that?
Yeah. So I accepted an offer to go be a head of school at a Christian school in Maryland called Washington Christian Academy.
He's going back east, people. He's going back east. Yeah. Okay.
So with that job and that responsibility, so in essence, kind of being the CEO of the organization, if you
You're
will.
basically a principal. You're a principal, kind of. Now bigger than that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Superintendent, more like a superintendent.
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's
Okay.
probably a
Okay.
better comp.
Okay.
And so I'm not going to be able to coach varsity basketball anymore. So I'm
Okay.
stepping away from the game. So it's a great opportunity. I'm excited about it. And I've realized I'm still coaching. I'm just, instead of coaching people who are executing a game plan and running an offense, I'm coaching people who are executing a strategic plan and we're running a school. And so it's still coaching.
So this is what I tell people. Everyone's a coach, and they look at
Yes.
me like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I have 2 kids. I've coached my kids. I have coached people I work with. I have coached, and they've coached me. It's like you coach if unless you're a hermit and living in
Yes.
a shed by yourself or something, you're
Right.
always doing those kind of things because
Uh-huh.
it's leading, it's dealing with people, it's building
Exactly.
community, it's all that stuff. So yes, that's a
Yeah.
great way to think about that, Coach. What is something you took away from all your stops? Because to be honest with you, you're probably in the top 10% of movements that I've interviewed in the last year or two.
Oh wow.
Like,
Well,
no, I'm
and
just saying it's like it's not bad. I'm just saying, what did you learn
yeah.
about each process, or what would you say about that? Because that's a career worth of. I think the average person has 7 jobs or something like that. But
Mhm.
anyway, so it's typical. But from coaches don't tend to do that quite as much. I'm not sure why, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and before I even say that, I'd be remiss to not say, if I didn't say, that everywhere I've been, I was fortunate enough to work with great coaches and have the opportunity and privilege to coach great kids who took ownership of what we were trying to do. And so I want to be careful when I talk about, where we were when we started to where we finished.
right,
That
right.
doesn't happen without those people, and so at every stop there, especially, they're pivotal kids and families that just say, you know what, we are on board with you, and they help bring everybody else along. And so it's important. So that kind of segues into your question. I think at every stop, figuring out, like, who are the people that really love this, and how do you build deep relationships with them, so that they're willing to walk through the tough parts of it with you. Because the jobs that I've taken have all been rebuilds, and it's tough in those early years, where things aren't coming as fast as people may want it to come. And so building the relationships, the bonds, figuring out who's going to walk through it with you. Um, Go ahead.
Yeah,
Look like you want to jump in
I
there.
think that's important for people listening. It's like I don't want it's almost like reading the room when you move into a new
Yes.
place
Hmm.
because it's about who are the shakers and movers. Because every community has some of those specific people that um are the ones that are going to help you, process and build community and do those kind of things. And, it's like, it might be the I mean, I tell you, in our school, the head custodian, she's one of the ones that she's like, when I need that, anyway,
Yeah.
like she's
Yeah.
on rocks. Like, it's like,
Hmm.
that's who I go to. Like when I need, like, cause she's a shaker and the mover. Like she's the
Yeah.
one that's going to make a community of like 3,000 kids and all these staff members move because she's the one that does it. So I think that's an important process too. I think
Hmm.
you kind of talked about there, Coach.
Yeah. And then I think another thing I've learned is, when you get to a new stop, two things. One, everything you did that made you successful at the prior stop may not always translate. I learned that the hard way when I got to Ohio, because my last year in Indiana, we were running the system, and it was, yeah. I figured we'd dive down there at some point, but it was so much fun. We had a great time, and when I got to Ohio, I felt like I had better athletes, and oh yeah, we'll just plug and play.
Okay, so
And
before we move on that, so do you think the system? I have a theory about the system, and people that are listening don't know. It's kind of the Grinnell, Loyola, Marymount
right.
fast, multiple possessions, pressure, up and down. Some depending on the program, like hockey kind of substitutions. Anyway,
Right.
little in and out, 5 in and out. Do you what kind? I mean, I have a theory about this. What kind of players do you think it works best with?
Unselfish ones? No.
Because you're supposed to rank them like you're the number one shooter, you're number two, and you're supposed to like there's things in the system that
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think it depends on your iteration of it. Like I never did a preferred shooter type of thing. But the other thing is kids are smart. No matter what you run, they know who needs to get the ball.
Like who can
Like,
hoop? Who can hoop? Yeah. They
right.
know.
And so, we
I think it
very
works for
rarely do we have
I think it
issues.
works for the so let's rate teams from A being like my best team I've ever coached, which had a couple of professional guys, to the F team. I think it works for the C plus B minus team the best.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
ones that are good but not great, like you said,
Right.
not I mean it's not I don't care what you do with the D's or the F's. You can
Yeah.
run whatever system, it ain't gonna
Right.
matter because the better team's gonna win. It's a math problem. They're gonna have more possessions, they're gonna shoot better, they're gonna beat you. But it's more for that team that maybe I'm not as good as your team, but I'm close. Like
Right.
I'm
Right.
gonna beat you 30 out of 70 times. We
Yeah.
or 30 out of 100 times. I'm gonna beat you
Yeah.
30% of the time. Well, I think the system can help you maybe move to like coin toss kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. That's just my
Yeah.
theory. I've never run it, but that's my
No,
theory.
that's a good theory because and I think scrappy teams it works well for them. You know, just when you're causing the amount of chaos that you can cause, and the times that I've gone to it, the couple seasons that I have, we beat teams that we had never beat before. You know, and ironically, it wasn't necessarily because we shot the lights out. It was just the cumulative wear down couple moments in the game where they just fell apart completely and we made a run and then just the emotional toll, especially if you're coaching on the girls side, I would strongly consider it because again just and I it's just the reality of the girls game. There are not as many ball handlers, and that one girl, you start wearing her down, or that one and a half girls, you start wearing them down, and they got to go out the game at some point. And so, but anyway, that's a whole other story. But yeah, so that the lesson there was, um, you have to be ready to relearn in each environment. And then the last thing I would say is, when you step into a new situation, it's very easy to come in thinking you have all the answers. And I would encourage you to take time to, and all my jobs have been rebuilds, but one of the things I'm glad I did, and I don't know why I had the wisdom to do it, but for whatever reason I did. I always took the time to talk to the returning players and figure out what was it about the past that you enjoyed, like what were the great things, and really just tried to honor that, even though there were going to be things that were going to change. But if there was something that was good that could stay, then I would try to find a way to make that happen as well. But I think it just gives you some helps you earn a little relational capital as a coach, because you're not indirectly coming in saying everything you all did before I got here was bad. And
Right.
I've seen coaches do that and it backfires.
And I think that at first, I think that first 6 months is big,
Mm-hmm.
huge. Like it's gonna be whether you can turn the tide or not.
Hey, Coach, I hope you're enjoying the video. If you are, hit like down below. That helps us be found everywhere. Also, subscribe and then hit the little bell up above, and that will help you get notified every day when we put a new basketball coaching video up every day of the year. It'll help you a ton. And then go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.
Is how you approach, like it and it's way you should go through life. You should listen more than talk initially. I mean, obviously you're going to have to talk about your pillars and your theory and those kind of things
Right.
for the people building a program, but you can let just be a fly on the wall and listen. You're going to find out a lot about like what happened, what worked, what didn't work,
Yeah.
how does the community work? Because it's every one of those. I think there's like 16,000 high schools or something, or it's some crazy
Mm.
number of high schools, or 28,000. I don't know. But of all those high schools in the U.S., they all have their own culture. Every one of them.
Right.
Doesn't matter if
Right.
they're 2 city blocks away. It's different.
Yeah.
It's a microcosm, and you have to figure that out, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to go in and think you're going to run X, Y, and Z and do X, good luck. You might.
Right.
It might work, but you're rolling the dice, in my opinion. You're rolling the dice a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts on that, Coach, are.
No, I agree. I think I think it's just important. Yeah. I mean, and yeah, and you're absolutely right when you said the first 6 months, and you just gotta establish your culture, your identity, who you're trying to be. And the other lesson I've learned is figuring out, okay, what kind of people can I lose with? Because there's going to be losing, there's going to be hard things, and you want the right people in the locker room around your program. And sometimes those people aren't as talented, but just I can't remember what coach I heard say that, but they just said figure out who you're willing to lose with, and I just thought that was really good. I've tried to apply that on the last 2 stops, and I've had coached a lot of kids that I was willing to lose with. And
what do you think in basketball the hardest thing to teach is?
Ooh, it's funny. I think in your last podcast, I'm blanking on the coach's name. I want to say Coach Cup, but I might be wrong.
It was Cup. Cup was recently, yes.
Yeah, or it was the last one I had a chance to listen to. But I mean, communication is a big one. I think teaching kids to talk, because I think we just tell them to talk, and we don't really
We tell them to lead
how to
too.
communicate. Yes, yeah. But I would say, from an intangible standpoint, helping kids learn how to communicate at a high level effectively is one of the harder things to do. That's probably, I would say, one of the toughest things.
I think screening is a hard thing to teach well. Not even reading. Well, I think people especially at the high school level, worry about how to read screens too much. But I think setting screens is one of those weird micro things that is.
Yeah.
Kids think they know how to set a screen, but they really don't really know how to set a screen or use a screen very well.
Yeah.
Steph Curry knows how to use a screen very well.
Yes, he does.
How did you practice plan? What was your kind of thing with practice planning?
So started off with kind of our objectives, like what are the things we're really trying to get done. And before that, what kind of practice is it? Is it kind of a building practice where we're building some new things or installing? Is it a maintaining practice where we're kind of reviewing, or is it a recovery practice after a game where we're we're practicing, but we're trying to active recovery? So kind of first of all thinking through which one of those things we're doing that day, but then what are the 2 or 3 objectives, or 4 at the most, that we have for the day? And so kind of start with that and then build everything out from that. But everything in practice points back to our game model. So I've been influenced by just kind of soccer and just game models and tactical periodization and stuff like that. I think soccer's killing it on some of those things, and I think we're way behind. And so creating a game model and thinking about the phases of play. So we're either always playing half court offense, transitioning into defense, playing half court defense, transition to offense, and it just kind of keeps going, other than free throws and out of bounds.
Amen.
Yes.
There's 4 things. I was talking to a coach last night about, there's 4 things in basketball that you do. And us as coaches work on offense and defense, but we don't work on the transition to offense. We don't work on the transition to defense. We work on these 2. With the game is one of those 4 things at all times.
Absolutely.
You're either on offense, you're on defense, or you're transitioning to 2 of them.
Yeah,
That's it.
you're
Like
absolutely
now,
right.
you can get into your running, but think about how much time and practice we work on our offense, and how
Right.
often do we actually in the half court work on, it's this like
Right. Which, to your point, so and we talk about drill of the day or favorite drill. This is another one of my favorites. It's just 5-on-5, 2 transitions. And so we'll start in the half court. Maybe we're working on one of our pick and roll sets. And again, I try to coach both sides of the ball at the same time. So we're working on pick and roll defense. We're working on pick and roll coverage. And so the team that starts with the ball, we play that possession. So make, miss, whatever, we're going the other way. So now we got a chance to look at our transition offense for one group, our transition defense, and then half court defense the other side, and then we come back. So both teams have had a transition of offense and defense, and they played offense and defense in the half court. And for the kids, they play 5-on-5, and they're more engaged. It's more competitive, and we're actually doing things that are going to transfer to the game. So we do a lot of that kind of
I
stuff.
love that, coach. So here's what I call that. So for the people listening, we do 1 trips and 2 trips.
Yes.
So 1 trips are the offenses goes, and then the defense gets to go back on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 trip, and then a 2 trip is you get to go on offense, go on defense, and you get to go on offense.
Yeah.
Again.
Mm-hmm.
Trip. So we call them 1 trips and 2 trips. So all right, we're gonna do 1 trip. So they know the let's say the green team versus the white team. The green team will be on offense. They'll go, and then the white team will get the ball and go the other way. That's a 1 trip, and then we stop, and then we switch. We go 1 trip, and we stop, and we correct, and then we'll go 2 trips where they go down, back, down. Like, so you get 2 trips of offense or 2 trips of defense, whatever it is. So I think, yeah, I think that's a great, and that's why that's one of the many ways I work on that kind of that transition, which I think is a super important thing. What's one thing, I'm going to just jump around because we got about 15-20 minutes here. What's one thing you learned this week?
This week. Oh, I love that. It's been reinforced. I won't say that I've learned it this week.
Okay.
But it's been reinforced. Continue to take time to slow down. Just slow down and just enjoy the moments. Be present in the moment. I mean, right now our house is full of boxes. We're gearing up for a cross country move. But even when I got the email and responded, and then you all responded back, like I just took the time to enjoy, because I'm not planning for a season. I'm grieving that in a lot of ways.
Oh, it's a
And
death.
so
It's a death.
yes,
It's a death.
yeah.
Like, yes,
And
there's some grieving. Yeah.
and so the opportunity to kind of think about basketball a little deeper, gear up for a conversation, go back and watch some film and those kind of things. I just slowed down and enjoyed that. And I'm hoping that this next stage, that's a way that I can stay connected, is, just, be a sounding board for other coaches, be someone that can share from my insights, my mistakes, those kind of things. Invest in the mental and emotional health of coaches as well. I think that's important. We got to take care of ourselves. So I'm looking to stay connected. So I was just thankful, and just the opportunity to reflect on just my career coaching, and just the relationships and all those things. So I would say this week just reinforce slowing down, and appreciating the things that you have an opportunity to be a part of.
I think COVID did that for me, at least.
Yeah.
I took my watch off for a year and a half. Like, I don't have it on right now, but I
Right.
was always like, and trust me, COVID sucked. It sucked. We didn't have a season. It was horrible. But it was like, whoa, like it allowed me to slow down, to, it was an interesting transition. And I've never talked about this in the podcast, but it's like, it showed me that I'll be okay. Like,
Yes.
I've been coaching since I was 21 years old, like, and I'm in my mid 50s. So it's like, I'll be okay. Like, it's not like, if you'd have told me that in my 30s, I would have said, ooh, I don't know. But it's like, and I think that the point you were making, it made me slow down and made me quote unquote smell the roses kind of thing. It's like it'll be all right.
Yes.
It's like there's other
Yeah.
things. I got things I can do. I can go fishing. I got things I can do. But I think that's a great transition.
And I think I just want to add on that before you switch. I think for all the coaches that are listening to this, there's a lot of wisdom in what you just said, because again, coaching is what you do, but at the core, you're Steve. You know, that's who you
Right.
are.
Right. I'm a
Yes.
dad. I'm a husband. I'm a
Yes.
son. I'm a like, yes, that's yes. And that wants to go sit on a beach somewhere at some point in his life, you know. Not moving to Texas, I can tell you that. But I'm not, but actually the weather in Texas is bad. My brother just opened a place in Austin, I think. I think it was Austin.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in anyway. But like I said, yeah, nice
Yeah.
weather. All right. So before we do the rapid fire at the end, I always ask this question of everybody. Do you have a coaching failure that we could learn from? Do you have a story, something you could share, something that would help? Because I think we learn from our failures, at least I have in my life. Is there something that you would want to share with the audience about that?
Absolutely. Don't shy away from conflict. It's easy. You know, I mean, I could pick a number of situations throughout my career, but I think just that general principle of, you know, sometimes I've been guilty of, you know, kind of having a feeling that something was up, whether it was with a player or a parent, but just letting it ride, hoping it would work itself out. And you know, it really doesn't, and it's worse at the end. And so,
and sometimes it never works itself out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sure.
Because I've had a few of those more recently, to be honest with you, that I'll talk to them and it's like, yeah. Anyway, but it's better to look them in the face and at least have the conversation. I agree.
Right. So my my time here at Grace, you know, one of the little sayings we had around our program is no elephants in the room. And so we just, you know, we talk about everything, and it can be hard at times. But what I found is the players appreciate it, even if they don't like what I say sometimes in those moments. I appreciate it, even if I don't like what they say sometimes in those moments. And I've had that same approach with parents. And, you know, this last year, at the first sight of anything, hey, let's sit down and have a conversation, you know, whether it was a parent or player. And I would say this by far has been one of my smoothest years as far as that's been concerned, because I think when you just get out in front of it, you know, you deal with it, you address it, and you're able to move on, and everybody's on the same page.
It's true. I use truth or harmony when I talk to the players. Do you want truth or you want harmony? And then I'll give them example. It's like, I'll say, hey, this kid over here is a horrible shooter. Let's just be real. And I'll make up Johnny. Johnny's not on the team, but here's Johnny. Johnny's not a very good shooter. So here's the two things we can have. I can have a truthful conversation with Johnny about, hey, Johnny, you're not a very good shooter. Here's the statistics, but here's what you can do. Or I can give Johnny harmony, which is, Johnny, you are the best player ever. Shoot wherever you want. I can be like grandma and mom, and you're the best thing since sliced bread. That's harmony. I tell them, most people want harmony. I will give you truth if you want it. If you want me to give you harmony, I'll give you harmony, but things probably aren't going to change as far as your playing time, whatever we're discussing.
Right.
But I will be truthful with you. I will have a courageous conversation with you if you want. And I'm here to help. I'm not here to punish. But, you know, and usually they'll go, well, I want, you know, we'll play a game and we'll lose. I go, what do you guys want? You want truth or harmony? And then I'll say, well, we can't have 27 turnovers and win the game. That's the truth. You know, we have to fix this and this and this. You did these well, but so I think that those conversations, most kids want truth. They might not like it. You know, it's like, I don't know. I remember you talking earlier about I've cut kids and I thought they were going to come to my house after I cut them. And but you know, most of them, now I'd not say all of them because I've coached for 30 years, most of them at some point in their lives realized that was the right decision. Most of them, like, because it's like you weren't going to play. You're better off going and jumping in the musical or taking up programming or I don't know, something than sitting on my bench for 5 months. Like,
Right.
We're going to be happy that way. So most of them eventually realize that. There's always a few that don't. But most of them, I think, because I talk to every kid when I cut them. I talk to
Yeah.
every kid.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I think for young coaches, if you're listening, don't post that. That's
Right.
you're a coward, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, if you spend a couple of days in trial for my team, you deserve to sit in a room and talk with me. You might not like what I'm going to say to you, but I talk to every kid, whether you make my team or don't. I talk to all of them. They earn that right, in my opinion. Then posting, list on a wall is like, I don't know. I've always thought that's weird. It's archaic, but they still do it in, like, my daughter's into drama. They still do that in the drama world and the tryout. It's like, talk to them, tell them, like, here's why you didn't get the role. Nope.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So I'm gonna go through rapid fire. What's your favorite brand of basketball? Your actual ball you use during a game?
Oh, the literal ball?
The actual literal ball. Because what I say is that, what's your favorite brand of basketball? And then people will go, oh, the system. I go, no, the actual ball you bounce. What's the favorite brand?
The Wilson Evolution Solution. I feel like that's a pretty good ball.
Okay. What's if you go to one sporting event, what would you go to?
Oh, haven't been yet. I really want to go to Final Four.
You gotta go to the Final Four. The
I have not been to the Final Four.
Awesome.
I know.
Awesome. The last one I was at was pre-COVID. It was Virginia beating Texas Tech, and
okay.
It was great. Took my son. He was a junior in high school. It was great. Everyone should go. But yes, if you like basketball, you got to go to a Final Four at some point. It's crazy land. It's awesome. You're better off watching it at home, but you should go. It's just one of those things. What's one thing you do to relax?
Read. I read a lot.
Everyone needs to read more, or at least get Audible. Get Audible if you can't read. Do you have any superstitions, or did you have any superstitions when you were coaching?
Not really. Not really.
Okay.
Not really a superstitious kind of guy.
That's okay. One coaching technique you think is important?
That for me to employ?
Mm-hmm.
Talk less.
Ooh. Amen. I'm going to leave it at that. Yes.
Yeah.
Describe your perfect player in 5 words or less.
Oh, wow. 5 words or less. Shoot.
5 or less. Yeah.
IQ.
Okay.
Playmaker.
Okay.
Shooter. Grit. Servant.
Ooh. Okay. There's so in podcasting, when there's silence there, that's not always good. But that was excellent, because for people that are listening, Coach was thinking that was really, most people go like intent. That was very good. Coach put a lot of thought into that. I would put you in the top 10% of that, answering that question over the last couple of years. You're welcome. It was very good. Best player you have seen in person. Like, you've seen, not on TV, like but you've seen in person.
When I was in Indiana, we went down to the Washington State Championship, and Lawrence North had that was the years where they had Mike Conley and Greg Oden, and everyone was raving about Greg Oden, as they should. I mean, a true 7-footer. And I remember sitting there, and I left, and I called my uncle. I was like, there's this kid named Mike Conley. I think his dad was a triple jumper. I was like, he's going to be special, because I remember watching him, and it was like he was on skates and everyone else was just slopping around
Well,
and
the good ones,
saying,
I'm telling you, the good ones that I've coached against,
mhm,
the special ones, they just see the game just is in slow motion for them.
yeah,
It's just like I don't care. I mean, like there's a couple of them that we've played. There's no there. I mean, I had some D1 guys on my team. There was no way we were going to beat that team. Like they were just, we'd make a run and then you go, "Nuh-uh," stop and
yeah,
like it's just over. It's like yeah, they're you can tell the the problem with the 7-footers is injuries. I'm telling you, the big
right.
bodies can't take it, and they're
Well, and
playing.
the way he was moving around and just doing everything out there, and I had to remind myself. I said, "Wait a minute, this is the 6A state championship game. Like those kids aren't slouches on this other
No,
team
right.
either."
They can
And so
hoop.
it just,
Yeah.
yeah, it just showed how much better. I mean, yeah, he was. I just was like, wow, that's a different guy. That's a different guy.
If you could only teach one skill, what would you teach? Basketball skill.
Shooting,
Okay. Best
because if you
basketball
can
play
shoot it, it opens everything else up.
best basketball player of all time.
Why are you gonna start that? And everybody's gonna come after us. No, man, I gotta go with Jordan. I gotta go with Jordan.
I mean, he never lost in the finals.
Yeah,
It's hard to compare. It should be a generational thing, but anyway.
yeah. And I'm not a
Shot,
LeBron
yeah,
hater.
I don't. Whatever. He's a billionaire. He can count his money. Shot clock. Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Yep.
I mean, oh, that's a soapbox.
That's a soapbox. Trust me. That's a whole. If you could change one thing about the game, what would you change?
I mean, I would have the rules mirror the upper levels. I would love to see every level playing FIBA rules
Okay.
at the least. Yeah.
Okay. One thing that helped you become a better coach.
Learn, like read, learn, talk to other coaches, listen, be teachable.
Okay. Charge circle, yes or no?
It's still a judgment bang bang call. It doesn't matter.
I'm a no on. I haven't talked about that one much. I'm a no on that one because the officials, at least at the high school level, they're accountants during the middle of the day, or they're teachers.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
they have enough things to worry about. They don't get the 3-point line right. How are they going to get the
Right.
charge? Just let them make the call. Whatever. There is too much flopping going on. I do agree with that, especially at the NBA level at this point. But I don't know what the answer is. Quarters or halves?
Quarters. It goes back to my mirror the game at upper levels.
We play 18-minute halves in
Do you
Wisconsin.
really?
2 18-minute halves. Yep.
Wow. Does that? Do you have a shot clock?
We don't.
Okay.
That
is
we were
intriguing.
gonna get the shot clock 3 or 4 years ago, and then I caused the big stink, and I got enough influence in the state that
Look at you.
And here's the reason is they were only gonna put it in at the varsity level. And I go, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, so my sophomores are not gonna do it, and then the next year they're going to do it. What are you talking about? Like, if you're gonna do it. That's fine. I'll figure it out. I mean, I figured out halves. I'll figure out this. But you can't because half the summer stuff's not going to do it because it's an expense thing and someone's got to run it. Like, so at least give my freshmen and then my sophomores, and then by the time they're a junior, they've played 40, 50 games with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like playing like no 3-point line, and then all of a sudden there's a 3-point line. What are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
So that's
weird.
It was weird. It was like, and you know who really squashed in our state was the little schools because of money. They didn't have the money, like because to get the clock, but to get somebody to run it, they were having a hard enough time finding officials in northern Wisconsin, like small rural towns. That anyway, because you can't do that, and people don't know you can't run the clock and the shot clock.
And
The separate entity. But maybe AI will take care of that at some point. I don't know. Best basketball coach of all time.
Ooh. My gut says Wooden.
Okay. Go with your gut. Best team of all time. You gotta go with 90 Jordan. Come on, you're like
I was gonna say it's hard to go against those Bulls teams.
the Golden State team that won 72 is pretty good too. 73.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say if you're going NBA, college, I don't know. I think you take Bobby Knight's team, that undefeated team. What was that? May was on that team, and
Was Isaiah on that team or
no, Isaiah's team lost.
Oh,
There was a team.
okay.
Isaiah was later, I think. I think it was the
Okay.
76 undefeated Indiana team. But anyway, jump ball, yes or no?
Yes. Yeah. Again, go back, play FIBA rules.
Well, Steve will jump everything.
I think so. I might be wrong, but
See, I'm a theory that at the high school level it should be gone. This is my soapbox. This is my one thing I'm going to try before I retire.
when you say jump ball, you mean instead of
Get
taking
rid
it
of the
out,
get rid of the
alternate-
jump
yeah,
ball
yeah.
and
get rid of-
alternating possession, because there's only one jump ball in a high school basketball game unless there's overtime. There's one, right? The officials are bad at it. We don't practice it. The kids aren't good at it. Like, why do we do that? Like, and half the new gyms don't even have two. I mean, it's not like NBA where they jump everything. So there's not even two. There's only one center. There's only one circle on the court anymore. It's in the center circle. So why do we jump it? Just give the visiting team the ball and let's go.
Yeah.
You know, that's my point, is like, talk about archaic. Like, it seemed to work during COVID when they didn't do the jump balls. Let's get rid of it. Or jump. If you want to jump it, then jump everything. Then at least the officials will be better and we'll practice it.
And that's what I was saying. I would say jump everything. Yeah.
Hey, let's go. All right. So my last question I always ask coaches is, what's one bit of advice you'd give your younger self?
Less is more.
What do you mean by that?
In my younger years, you see all the great ideas. You want to do all these different things. You want to be good at all these different things. And just the older I've gotten, the more I've realized part of being a head coach is making a willing decision of what you're not going to be good at. And you can only really be good at probably like 3 or 4 things, I think.
Yep.
So figure out what you want those to be and just double and triple down on them.
I think the world's gotten harder because there's a lot more noise. Like, there is literally, like, I've told coaches this during the COVID thing when there were all these free basketball clinics online. I had to turn my computer off. There was too much stuff. Like, it was too much for me. It's like, oh, I should do that. I should do that. I should do that. I should do that. It's like from the movie Up, where the dog's like, squirrel, 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 squirrel. You know, it's like you gotta, like, you're right, coach. It's like, I think that's a great bit of advice, is just simplify. Find out what you want to do, what you want to be good at, and then lean into that. Like, learn that. You know, I, as a teacher for 30 plus years, I'm good at some things. I'm not good at other things. And I lean into the things I'm good at. And part of what I'm good at is I teach math. I teach statistics. I tell dad jokes. I make it fun. And then I sprinkle in the math when they're not looking. Like, you know what I mean? It's like my classroom's, you know, it's got to be that way. Otherwise, it's like, that's what I'm good at. Like, and then I can, you know, I'll teach the other things. Well, coach, I'll let you get going because you got to go pack.
We're not packing today.
Not packing today. But thank you for being on. I appreciate it, especially with all the stuff going on, and have safe travels. And we'll reconnect once you settle down in Maryland. All right.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me and the opportunity to share. And man, hopefully we can do it again, because we didn't even talk pick and roll. And we didn't
do anything. We didn't do anything. I know. I'm already on the stopwatch. I've had Amy. I got another person in the queue. So we'll do this for sure, coach. All right. Thank you. Hey, coach, hope you're liking the video. If you are, kick down below. That would help us a ton. Hit the like button down below. If you want to subscribe, that'd be awesome. Hit the little bell up above. You'll get a notification every time one of our new videos goes live. Also, make sure you go over and check out teachhoops.com. Enjoy.